Have you ever had this amazing idea for an app, but then you kind of stopped yourself thinking, I just don't have the team or the budget to build that? Well, today, we are going to break down the architecture of a really sophisticated AI trading platform that started with, believe it or not, a simple spreadsheet and then scaled up to a totally professional-grade product. Let's dive in. So the whole idea behind this platform, which is called Crypto Goats, was to just cut through all the noise. You know how it is. It was really designed as a toolkit for serious crypto traders. We're talking about people who rely on actual data and real strategy, not just what's trending on social media. The whole mission was to give them insights they could actually use. Okay, that's a great vision, right? But it brings up the big question. How do you actually engineer the complex, data-heavy tools that can deliver on that promise? I mean, it's one thing to say you want to provide value, but it's a whole other thing to build the engine that makes it happen. So how'd they do it?
Well, like any big project, this one ran into some pretty common roadblocks. They were dealing with user data that was all over the place, different systems that weren't talking to each other, and on top of all that, they had this major goal of creating one single AI-driven experience that was still, easy to use.
All right, so here's the roadmap for our journey today. We're going to start with that initial vision. Then we'll get into the weeds of that first data engine, which was surprisingly powerful and built on Google Sheets. From there, we'll see how they plugged in an AI brain, upgraded the architecture to handle serious scale, and then see what user-facing apps this all actually powers. And we'll wrap it all up with a clear blueprint of the key takeaways. Okay, let's kick things off with version 1 of the data engine. Now, instead of getting bogged down building some complex database right from the start, the team turned to a tool that, let's be honest, pretty much everyone has access to, a simple Google Sheet.
And the process they used was just incredibly clever and efficient. So they set up one master sheet with different tabs for all their data streams, raw data, signals, you name it. Then, using Google Apps Script, they wrote these simple little functions to automatically go out and pull live data from crypto APIs. They put those scripts on a timer, deployed the whole thing as a web app, and boom, they instantly had a public URL that acted as a live automated API.
And just like that, they had a working, real-time data backend. Seriously, each tab in that Google Sheet became its own unique CSV endpoint, constantly feeding in fresh news, fresh AI signals, and social sentiment data. This was a live, automated data engine, and the best part, they built it in minutes with zero upfront cost.
So, you've got a stream of live data. That's powerful, for sure, but how do you make it smart? Well, the next critical step was to connect a large language model, in this case Google's Gemini, to not just access that data, but to actually interpret that flood of real-time information.
Now, the magic that makes this all possible is a technology called function calling. And the easiest way to think about it is like giving an AI model a toolkit. It's the mechanism that lets the model reach outside its own brain, its pre-trained knowledge, and ask your application to go fetch live, real-world data from an external tool or an API.
Let's use a super simple analogy to see how this works. You ask your phone, what's the weather in Seattle? The AI doesn't just know that, right? But it understands what you want. So it tells your app, hey, run the get_weather tool for Seattle. Your app makes that call to the weather API, gets back the raw data, and then, and this is the key part, it feeds that data back to the AI. Only then does the AI translate that technical data into the simple human answer you actually get.
And that is exactly the mechanism that gives this trading platform its intelligence. The AI uses function calling to go out and query those live CSV endpoints from the Google Sheet we talked about. So when a trader asks a really complex question, the AI can now pull real-time market data, news, and sentiment to put together a seriously informed answer.
Now that Google Sheets method was a brilliant, scrappy way to prove the idea worked. But success brings new challenges, and the big one is scale. A real product with a growing user base needs a more robust, professional-grade architecture to support it.
And this really lays out the critical trade-off that pretty much every growing project has to face. Google Sheets gives you incredible speed and zero cost to start, which is amazing. But it eventually hits a wall on performance, and it's just not designed for high-security data. On the other hand, Google Cloud Platform is built for massive scale and security. Yeah, it's more complex to set up, and it has usage-based costs, but it's the necessary next step for a real product.
So to make that leap, they adopted what's called a hub-and-spoke model. Just think of the hub as the central brain, and it lives on Google Cloud. It does all the heavy lifting, all the data processing, AI calls, security, using serverless tools. And the spokes, those are the different user interfaces, like the web dashboard.
They're kept totally separate, and they just talk to the central hub through secure APIs. It makes the whole system really clean, modular, and way easier to scale. Okay, so we've been deep in the technical weeds here. Let's pull up for a second and see what all this powerful engineering actually delivers to the person sitting at the keyboard. What do you get out of it?
This is the result of all that robust back-end architecture. It powers two really distinct applications. On one side, you've got JaxDash, which is basically an all-in-one command center for live data and AI insights. And then you have JaxRun, which is this super intuitive drag-and-drop tool that lets traders build their own automated workflows for everything from alerts to research. The initial vision is made real.
So when we look back at this entire journey, from a simple idea on a spreadsheet all the way to a full-blown AI platform, we can actually pull out a really powerful blueprint that you can apply to almost any big idea you might have.
So here it is, the 4 key principles. Number 1, start scrappy. Use simple, easy tools to prove your concept fast. 2, separate your concerns. That hub and spoke model keeps things clean and manageable. 3, use AI as the intelligent glue, using function calling to connect it to your live data. And number 4, scale smart. Don't over-engineer from day one. Only move to a professional cloud setup when you've proven the value and you're actually ready for that growth.
You know, this whole project is just a fantastic reminder that you don't always need a massive team or a huge budget to build something really innovative. The real magic, a lot of the time, is in how you connect existing tools. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. What complex problem out there could you solve just by connecting simple tools in a new, intelligent way?